The moment the restaurant clock struck 9 and both of them realized they'd been waiting for the same woman who never existed, something invisible shifted, because sometimes the people who change your life arrive disguised as disappointments. The rain had started softly, the kind that felt polite, as if it didn't want to interrupt anyone's evening. Inside the restaurant, warm lights reflected off polished wooden tables, and quiet music floated through the air like a promise of comfort. At a corner table near the window sat a man in a slightly worn jacket, nervously checking his phone for the 7th time. His name was Adam. He was a single father, though no one here knew that yet, and tonight was the first night in 3 years he had tried to sit across from a stranger and imagine a future that didn't revolve entirely around bedtime stories and school lunches. Across the room, in a booth that offered privacy without warmth, sat a woman everyone else seemed to recognize but no one approached. Her posture was perfect, her suit tailored with ruthless precision, and her expression carefully neutral. Her name was Claire. She was the CEO of a global company, a woman whose signature could move markets, yet tonight she felt smaller than she had during her first hostile board meeting. She, too, checked her phone, not with hope, but with an expectation of disappointment she had learned to carry quietly. Minutes passed. Then more minutes. The waiter came twice, smiling kindly, pretending not to notice that neither table had ordered yet. Adam finally sighed, rubbing his palms together, while Claire stared at the condensation sliding down her glass of water as if it were marking time she could never get back. Adam stood up first, intending to leave before embarrassment turned into something heavier. At the same moment, Claire rose from her booth, slipping her phone into her bag with a tired exhale. They nearly collided near the entrance, an awkward shuffle of apologies tumbling over each other. I guess, your date didn't show either? Adam said, his voice low, almost embarrassed by its own honesty. Claire paused. For a second, she looked at him, not as a CEO, not as a guarded woman, but as someone equally stranded in the same quiet humiliation. She nodded once. Seems so. They shared a small, uncertain smile. The kind that doesn't promise anything but acknowledges a shared moment of loss. Adam gestured back toward the empty tables. If we're both already here, maybe we don't let the night completely win? Claire hesitated. Every instinct she had built over years of boardrooms and betrayals told her to walk away. But another voice, softer, long ignored, whispered that she was tired of always leaving. Their Saturday conversation started cautiously. Adam talked about his son, how he still slept with the hallway light on, how mornings were chaotic but meaningful. Claire listened, surprised at how grounding it felt to hear someone speak about life without strategy or ambition. When she spoke, she didn't mention the company at first. She talked about long flights, empty apartments, and how silence can be louder than any crowd. As the rain outside grew heavier, something inside them eased. They laughed, quietly at first, then freely. Adam confessed he hadn't known what fork to use earlier. Claire admitted she hated networking events and pretended to take calls just to escape small talk. Two strangers, abandoned by expectations, began to see each other clearly. Near the end of the night, Adam leaned forward and said softly, "You know, my son thinks the bravest people are the ones who stay kind even when things don't go their way." Claire felt something tighten in her chest. No one had spoken to her like that in years. Not as someone impressive. Just as someone human. When they finally stood to leave, the rain had stopped. The city felt washed clean. They exchanged numbers, not with promises, but with a shared understanding that tonight mattered. Neither of them knew yet that this missed date would become the beginning of something neither money nor planning could ever buy. Just when life seemed ready to give them a second chance, the past returned, testing whether two broken schedules and guarded hearts could truly choose each other. Weeks passed, and their meetings became a quiet ritual. Coffee after Adam dropped his son at school. Late dinners after Claire's endless meetings. They didn't rush anything, and that, strangely, made it feel real. Adam never asked Claire to be anyone other than herself. Claire never treated Adam like a project to be fixed. It was simple, and simplicity felt revolutionary, but life has a way of demanding proof. One evening, Adam received a call from his ex, her voice sharp with urgency. She wanted to take their son overseas, claiming it was temporary, claiming it was best. Adam felt the ground tilt beneath him. That night, he showed up to dinner distracted, his usual warmth dimmed by fear he couldn't yet name. Claire noticed. Of course she did. She always noticed everything. When he finally told her, his voice cracked, not loudly, but enough. She reached across the table without thinking, her hand covering his. In that moment, she wasn't a CEO solving a problem. She was simply someone who cared, but her own storm arrived soon after. The board wanted her to step down temporarily during a merger. They framed it as strategy, but she knew the truth. Power, once threatened, is rarely forgiven. The headlines came fast. Speculation, judgment, noise. Adam watched her retreat behind the walls she had promised she no longer needed. For the first time, he wondered if their worlds were too different, if love could survive such unequal ground. They argued. Quietly. Respectfully. But arguments hurt most when they are restrained. Adam accused her of disappearing. Claire accused him of not understanding the pressure she carried. They parted that night without resolution, the silence between them heavier than the rain that had first brought them together. Days passed without messages, then one afternoon, Adam's son asked, "Are you still sad about the lady who listens to you?" That question broke him open. Adam showed up at Claire's office unannounced. Security hesitated, but something in his expression, honest, unarmed, let him through. Claire looked up from her desk, surprised, guarded, tired. "I don't need you to be strong all the time," Adam said, his voice steady. "I just need you to be here. Even when it's messy." Claire stood slowly. Years of armor felt suddenly unbearable. "I've built my life on control," she whispered. "I don't know how to be anything else." Adam smiled gently. "Neither did I, until I became a father." Silence stretched. Then Claire stepped forward, resting her forehead against his chest. For the first time in her life, she let herself be held without calculating the cost. The board battle ended differently than expected. Claire didn't fight to stay. She negotiated freedom instead, time, balance, space. Adam resolved his custody fight, choosing stability over pride. Neither won everything. But they won what mattered. Months later, they returned to the same restaurant. Same corner table. Same warm lights. Adam's son sat between them, swinging his legs, happily coloring on the kids' menu. Claire watched them both, her heart full in a way success had never given her. She leaned close to Adam and whispered, "Funny how not being chosen that night led us here." Adam smiled. "Maybe some people don't show up because they're making room for the right ones." Outside, the city moved on, unaware of the quiet miracle happening inside, a reminder that love doesn't always arrive on time, but when it does, it changes everything.